the Vice President of our United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden.
Since the president, I learned a long time ago, I should have learned a long time ago, when the Recovery Act was passed, it's a big deal, $787 billion, one chunk of change. You know, nothing that big has ever occurred before, but we never faced anything short of a depression as consequential as the recession we inherited. Something had to be done to plug the hole wisely and sort of drag us back out. That we implement this Recovery Act, but there's so many skeptics. Remember, all this fraud and waste was going to occur. I might point out that dog hadn't barked yet, God willing. I might point out that this wasn't going to work and so on. And so I had this memo. I said, Mr. President, we need to implement this thing. We got to do a block and tackle, man, day at a time. We got to stay on top of it. He sat there, read the memo, and went like this. Good, do it, Joe. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. So I should have known better. Never write a memo to a superior you don't want to have to implement. Lately, meaning the last couple of years, talk about America's ability to compete in this changing global economy. How many times have you heard about the inevitability of China, the inevitability of India? Well, today we're here at UQM. It seems clear to me that not only will America compete, but America will, and I promise you, lead once again in the 21st century as we did in the 20th. No nation can out-compete us. Whenever the American people have been given a fair and fighting chance, whenever they've been asked to step up, never, ever in the history of the country have they not stepped up to the ball. Never. And that's what this is about, folks. This is about the 21st century. We teach our children, we teach our engineers to be multiply disciplined. We teach them to think for themselves. That's the secret of our country. That's always been the secret of who we are. And we can't forget it. There's too much of being down on the capacity to change the world. In the last century, every single advance once thought impossible, America achieved. Providing he talks about 1860, the government making the decision to build a transcontinental railroad. And how it was the Republicans then doing it, the Democrats were all against it. And what would have happened if the government not provided the seed money to build the transcontinental railroad? I'm not being facetious. What would have happened to the development of the state of Colorado? How many decades behind would it have been? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tradition of innovation, but it must be more than part of our proud history. It is also the path to prosperity in the future, which is what the Congresswoman was talking about. Let me say it as plainly as I can. It's time for us to begin to innovate again on a wholesale scale. And that's why we're here at UQM. President Obama and I and the American people are proud to act as catalysts for companies like UQM Technologies. We're going through this with our economic team in the period between being elected and being sworn in. We insist that there has to be a significant component of this that is about our long-term economic future. We need new building blocks if we're going to lead the world in the 21st century. And it's unquestionable that the economic program that is contained in the Recovery Act has in fact been a success. If you notice, everybody thought it was in the beginning, it was a terrible thing. No one doubts now that it saved or produced 2.5 million jobs. Nobody doubts. You'll not find a single economist that suggests that the growth in the GDP the last 3 quarters in a row, at least in large part, over half of which in most cases is a consequence of the spending generated by this act. It would be a bitter irony if we freed ourselves from foreign oil only to tether ourselves to a dependence on importing wind and solar power and drivetrains and other components for the new energy economy from abroad. Sometimes you read about me and they say I'm optimistic, that I'm enthusiastic. Folks, as my grandpa would say, I didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday. I've been there with 8 presidents. I know what's real and I know what's not. And I want to promise you, I have never been more optimistic about the future of this great country. I have never been more enthusiastic about the possibilities of this great country. Even the day I was elected as a 29-year-old kid to the Senate, I've never been as optimistic as I am today. Give the American people a direction. Give them a little bit of help. Provide a little seed money. Have faith in them. And we will once again remain the most powerful, innovative nation in the world for the 21st century. Thank you all. God bless you.